What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time we're taking a look at Kick-Ass 2. Now, Kick-Ass 2 follows Chris D'Amico, who is now going by the nickname The Motherfucker, and he's out to get revenge on Kick-Ass for killing his father in the first movie. That's the overall basic plot line of Kick-Ass 2. Let's talk about it for a little bit. I overall like Kick-Ass 2, though I think this movie is kind of wasted potential, and it kind of does things that I wish it would have did a little bit differently. One of the things that this rubs me the wrong way about this movie is that compared to the first movie, this movie to me feels kind of mean spirited in a little bit of a way. It feels mean spirited and it has some really juvenile toilet humor, which I am not really a big fan of in general. Uh, and that goes with this subplot with Mindy slash Hit Girl trying to integrate herself into high school life and trying to be a high school girl, and she gets hooked up with these mean girls essentially who bully her. And I understand what they're trying to go for. They're trying to see how Hit Girl can act as a normal teenage girl, and it just I don't know. It just that's not the most interesting part of this movie to me. And I don't know. To me, it kind of dragged it down. I mean, the stuff that I do like is I like the character of Marcus, played by Morris Chestnut. Chestnut. The character of Marcus is a friend, is the best friend of Mindy's father, which essentially makes him Mindy's guardian. I was liking the relationship that was forming between Marcus and Mindy. How he's the complete opposite of Big Daddy. You know, Marcus is more of a straight-laced person. He's trying to do his best to have Mindy act like a teenage girl and not have her be Hit Girl, and that causes Mindy to have her inner conflict with one another, and that's where the movie's actually really good, is seeing Mindy. Pretty much, she is a teenage girl, and she's having teenage angst in a way, and the Marcus character is trying to help her along the way. See, that stuff with Hit Girl I enjoyed. The Mean Girl stuff didn't really care for. Some other things I didn't really care for. This movie has Jim Carrey as Colonel Stripes, and Jim Carrey, he's barely in the movie, and it's a shame because I like him as the character of Colonel Stripes, and he forms this little group called Justice Forever, which Kick-Ass becomes a part of, and I would have liked to see more of the Colonel Stripes character, particularly have him interact with the Hit Girl character. I would have liked to see Colonel Stripes also in the final battle, because pretty much Colonel Stripes' character gets killed off after D'Amico pretty much assembles his own gang of supervillains, and they all take down and they all pretty much kill Stripes as a message. Uh, I would not have done that. I would have had them badly injure Stripes, and then I would have had Stripes and Hit Girl team up to take down Mother Russia, who was pretty much the motherfucker's main person, because Mother Russia is a bad beast who kills almost everyone in this movie, and she ends up killing Colonel Stripes. Well, like I said, if Colonel Stripes was to die, at least have a more heroic death in the climax by having Mother Russia kill him after Stripes and Hit Girl team up together. Not only that, I'd have liked to see more, because Colonel Stripes' whole gimmick is that he's a former ex-mob enforcer who became a born-again Christian. So he's he's religious, and he does not tolerate swearing. I would have liked to have seen how that would have been with Hit Girl, since she swears consistently, and see how those two would have butt heads, since in the respective group, Stripes and Hit Girl, they have the most experience when it comes to killing people. And it would have been nice to see how Hit Girl would have bounced off Colonel Stripes, as opposed to how we saw her and Big Daddy in the first movie. I would have liked to have seen something like that with Colonel Stripes and Hit Girl. We didn't get that. That's wasted potential. Another thing that I didn't really care for. So, the entire first movie was building this relationship between Dave and Katie, to the point where at the end of the movie they become a couple, and Katie knows that Dave is Kick-Ass. This movie disrespects that Katie character and completely undoes everything that first movie did by turning Katie into a complete bitch, and then completely writes her out of the movie just so that Dave can not hang around this night with this night bitch character, which doesn't really go anywhere. I didn't like that. It's so stupid. You completely undid that first movie. All that relationship building between Dave and Katie was completely thrown out the window. If anything, Katie should have been night bitch. That's my opinion. That's how I would have did it. Instead, it's not. You completely undo all that work that Matthew Vaughn did, building up this relationship between Katie and Dave. Instead, you kind of imply Mindy having romantic feelings for Dave, which is kind of weird because she's a little girl and he's a teenager going to be graduating high school. So I didn't like that stuff at all. I thought it was kind of stupid, though. I'm not going to lie. The kiss at the end between Mindy and Dave is kind of cute because we did follow those two characters. But I always saw their relationship as a brother-sister type of relationship, not a romantic one. So that really rubbed me the wrong way. Chris, Christopher Mintz-Plasse as the motherfucker in this movie. He's really doing a good job of being an over-the-top villain. He's actually really funny in a lot of areas. And then there are certain areas where it can be a little bit dark, especially when he orders the hit on Kick-Ass's father, where he dies a gruesome death while in prison, which is what sets off the climax. And that's what I mean where I think this movie's mean-spirited, because a lot of characters really go out in gruesome ways. Like Kick-Ass's father dies in a gruesome way. John Leguizamo's character of Javier, who's pretty much like Chris's right-hand man, he gets stabbed right in the throat just because D'Amico's uncle wanted to send him a message. And then there's this scene where, well, thank God we don't really see. And then the mother Russia just goes on a massive killing spree in a suburban area. Yeah, so like this movie is, compared to the first, it's a little bit darker, a little bit more mean-spirited. Not saying that's a bad thing, but it kind of sucks the fun out of the Kick-Ass, because the first Kick-Ass movie was a fun movie. This movie kind of sucks the fun out a little bit by having some of these characters be mean-spirited, especially when Dave's friend Marty becomes battle guy, and Dave and Marty completely just berate their other friend as well, who wants to be a superhero. So, like I said, it's a very mean-spirited type of movie. It doesn't make it a bad movie, but compared to the first, it's not as fun as the first movie. But this movie does have entertainment value to it. The ending climax is a whole lot of fun. It's basically seeing this costume party of superheroes have a big brawl in a warehouse, which was a lot of fun. The fight between Kick-Ass and the motherfucker is very entertaining. The fight with Mother Russia and Hit Girl is very brutal and very, very violent. So this movie does have some good things in it, but it also does a lot of things that I didn't really care for, that I would have switched around. I think it would make for a much more better movie. But in the end, I'm going to give Kick-Ass 2 a 6.5 out of 10. It's definitely not as good as the first movie. It gets a lot of things wrong, and it should have did a lot of things differently, but it's still very entertaining. And if you like the Kick-Ass movies, give it a watch. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Like the video and subscribe, and I'll check you next time for more.